Okay, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to learn about the poem Ode to a Nightingale by Keats. The poem was composed in May 1890. It so happened that the poet was staying with his friend Brown. Keats was always moved by the melodious song sung by Nightingale, a bird. That morning he took a chair from the breakfast table to the grass plot under a plum tree. There he sat for 2 or 3 hours. When he came into the house, his friend perceived he had some scraps of paper in his hand, and these scraps, 4 or 5 in number, contained his poetic feeling on the song of the nightingale. Then they made necessary corrections, and thus appeared his Ode to a Nightingale, a poem which has been the delight of everyone. In this poem, the poet is inspired by the song of the nightingale. He feels a pain in his heart and his senses are dulled. It is due to his happy participation in the happiness of the bird. He is happy because the bird is happy. The bird sings the spring's songs in full throated ease in some melodious plot, covered with dense foliage. He needs a cup of old wine so that he may forget the world around him and fade into the world of the bird where there is no suffering and no pain. All the miseries that are here in the world of human beings are not there in the happy land of the nightingale. The world of men is full of pain and suffering. It is a place where men sit and hear each other complain against the miseries of life. They suffer untold miseries. People die in their youth due to circumstances. Beautiful women cannot maintain their beauty, so no one will love them beyond the next day. That is why he wants to leave this world and forget all the pains of life. Now, on his imagination, he is there where the bird songs. It is a dense forest there. Tender is the night and the moon, surrounded by stars, shines bright in sky. Some light comes to the ground through the leaves and thick trunks of the trees when they are shaken by the gentle breeze. The poet cannot see what flowers grow there, but he has got very keen senses, and by the smell, just the smell of the flower, he can easily guess what flower must be growing and blooming at a particular tree. The poet goes on listening to the song of the bird in the darkness because it is going to be evening time, and feels extremely delighted. He finds it an appropriate time to breathe his last. After his death, the nightingale will still go on singing. He will become a sword. And what is sword? Sword is the meaning of a dead body. The song of the bird will become a mass, a requiem for his soul. Requiem means a mourning song. The song will continue. Hungry generations of human beings cannot kill the bird. Man will come and man will go, but the song of the bird will never end. It will go on and on forever. It was this very song that soothed the princess who was imprisoned in some magic castle in some fairy land forlorn. The very word forlorn brings the poet back to his own solitary self. He finds that he himself is all alone in the world. Now let's begin. Stanza 1. My heart aches and a drowsy numbness pains my sense as though of hemlock I had drunk, or emptied some dull opiate to the drains. 1 minute passed, and Lethe words had sunk. It is not through envy of thy happy lot, but being too happy in thine happiness, that thou, light winged dryad of the trees, dryad is a nymph, in some melodious plot of beaches green and shadows numberless, singest of summer in full throated ace. So, here are some explanations of that above stanza. The poet listens to the song of the nightingale. The bird sings in its sweetest voice, and the poet feels an excess of joy. The poet says that his heart feels a pain, his senses have become dull, and he feels sleepy, like he is becoming alcoholic. It is due to excess of joy. He is like one who has drunk some hemlock. And what is hemlock? It is a poisonous product that brings sleep. Else he has taken some drug prepared of opium. Consequently, he seems to have forgotten everything. He is hallucinating, he is dreaming. The poet feels that he has drowned down in Lethe. Lethe is the river in Hades according to Greek mythology. A dip in the water of Lethe makes a person forget everything. The same is with the poet. The excess of joy has empowered his senses, and he seemed to have forgotten everything. The poet seems to have forgotten everything, and he feels dullness of the senses. His senses are becoming dull, he is becoming numb. It is not because he is jealous of the happiness of the nightingale. He is miserable while the bird is happy and cheerful and singing. But this is not the thing. Instead, he feels extreme happiness in the happiness of the bird. He is happy that the bird sings sweetly in some plot of beech trees. Big beech trees grow there. It is all dark all around due to the shadows caused by the rich foliage grown on the branches of the trees. However, the plot is full of the melodious songs of the bird. The bird sings in praise of summer. The bird sings in the most spontaneous way. It makes no labor or effort. In other words, the song comes out of its soul in the most natural way. The nightingale is a dryad to the poet. Why? Because dryad is a fairy of the woods in Greek mythology, and the poet thinks that nightingale is also like a fairy, and that fairy came to the poet to numb his senses by the song of the nightingale. The nightingale of Keats is the swift bird which flies from one branch to another at its perfect ease and pleasure. Now let's discuss about second stanza. Oh, for a draught of vintage that hath been cooled a long age in the deep delft earth, tasting of flora and the country green, dance and provincial song and sunburnt mirth. Oh, for a beaker full of the warm south, full of the true, the blushful hippocrene, with beaded bubbles winking at the brim, and purple stained mouth, that I might drink and leave the world unseen, and with thee fade away into the forest dim. The poet in this stanza thinks that the nightingale is very happy. He imagines that it must be living in a world which is free from all pains and sufferings that are found among mankind. Hence, to earlier enjoy that happiness, he would like to go to the world of the bird. The poet wants a draught of some old wine. The older is the wine, the stronger it becomes. The wine should have been kept and cooled for a long time in deep pit of the earth. The reason is that it would give the wine greater strength. A draught of such a wine would transport the poet into a valley of flowers where there is all greenery about the countryside. It would remind him of the folk dances and songs of the countryside where people sing and dance in the genial sunlight. The cheerfulness will be clearly visible on their faces. The poet wants wine made in South France. The southern district of France, known as Provence, are famous for their wine production. The festival of Flora, the goodness of flowers, is celebrated with a lot of singing, dancing, and merrymaking. The poet wants a beaker full of the wine from some warm southern part of France. Such a wine will inspire him just as the water of Hippocrene was supposed to inspire those who drank a draught of it. Hippocrene in Greek mythology was a fountain on Mount Helicon. It was sacred to the Muses. It sprang by a blow of the hoof of the winged horse Pegasus. The beaker or surahi suggests the picture of a dancing girl who is dancing and bushing and winking at her lover. The rising and breaking of the bubbles is like winking, opening and closing of the eye of the girl. The mouth of the one who drinks wine becomes purple as the pink color of the wine is reflected on face of the person. Now, stanza 3. Fade far away, dissolve and quite forget. What thou among the leaves hast never known, the weariness, the fever and the fret. Here, where men sit and hear each other groan, where palsy shakes a few sad last grey hairs, where youth grows pale and spectre thin and dies, where but to think is to be full of sorrow and leaden eyed despairs, here beauty cannot keep her lustrous eyes, or new love pine at them beyond tomorrow. The poet in this stanza wants to escape from the miseries and sufferings of the world. He wants to go to the world of nightingale because the bird knows no human sorrow and suffering. As such, the world where she is living must be free from all these pains. With the help of a strong draught of vintage, the poet wants to dissolve. He wishes to forget all the griefs, pains, sufferings that this miserable world has. He wants to forget all the griefs, pains and sorrows that the bird living in its happy world of trees and forests does not know. Then the poet explains all that the human world is made up of. The world of man is miserable place. The nightingale is not aware of these miseries. The world is a place of weariness, cut throat, competitions and fret. People are weary. They suffer from one disease or the other. They hanker after one thing or the other. Whenever people sit together, they complain of the unhappy lot of life. People suffer from paralysis, they are sad, they get old with grey hair on their heads. Even in youth, people grow plain and lifeless and meet their death. When one thinks of the world, one thinks of a miserable place. The very thought of the world is a painful thought. Hence, it brings great despairs into the minds of the people. The world is a place where young and beautiful women cannot maintain their beauty. Their youth and beauty vanish soon and they lose all their charm. As a result, no one will love them beyond the next day. They remain young only for a day or so. As a result, they are loved only for a day. So, one thinks one cares for them. No lover will sigh for them beyond the next day. The stanza presents a powerful picture of the sufferings and miseries of life. It indicates that youth vanishes, beauty diminishes, and love evaporates. Everything is short lived and transitory is life. Nothing is permanent. Love is also not a permanent passion, where youth grow pale, refers to the death of the younger brother of Keats, Tom, who died of consumption and breathed his last in the lap of the poet. Now, stanza 4. Away, away, for I will fly to thee, not charioted by Bacchus and his parts, but on the viewless wings of poesy. Though the dull brain perplexes and retards, already with thee, tender is the night, and happily the queen moon is on her throne, clustered around by all her starry face. But here there is no light, save what from heaven is with the breezes blown through verdurous glooms and winding mossy ways. The poet wanted to go to the happy world of the bird. He wants a draught of vintage so that he might forget everything and feel himself in the happy world of the nightingale. But now he changes his mind. He wants to go to the happy world of the nightingale, but he does not want to go there as wished earlier with the help of the wine. He does not want to ride the chariot of Bacchus, the Greek god of wine. The chariot of Bacchus is drawn by leopards and followed by frenzied followers of Bacchus. The pupil does not seek, the poet does not seek the help of wine any more. That is, he would not go to the nightingale by drinking wine. Instead, he would go there through his power of imagination. Now, poet did not want to rely on wine to go to a place of happy moment. Now, the poet wanted to use his imagination. Reasoning, the power of intellect, opposes the idea. It puts obstacles in the way of his imaginative flight. However, the very next moment, the poet feels that he is there with the nightingale. Through the power of imagination, the poet feels that he is there in the forest with the bird. It is very pleasant. The night was just started. It is by chance that the full moon shines bright. It is surrounded by a number of stars. It looks like a queen who has fairies around her who attend on her. The moon is the queen and stars are the fairies attending on her. The poet finds that there is no light in the grove where the bird sits and sings. It is all dark there. The reason is the area is covered with dense foliage of the large trees. Some light still travels from the moon to the ground. It happens when the wind blows, the moss covered trees and are shaken. Through the zigzag passage of the branches, some light comes to the ground. The big branches are covered with moss. Hence, the splits among them are given the name mossy wastes. They are shaken by the breezes as they move this way and that. Some light travels to the ground where the bird sits and sings. Okay, this much for today, and we will discuss from stanza 5 later on. Thank you.